This is your self-introductory speech evaluation form. What I wanted to do was go over the form so you know exactly how you will be graded and what the specific criteria is. If you look at the form on the left side, that's actually the evaluation form itself, and on the right side is the suggestion box. So my suggestion is to look at the suggestion box so that you know these are aspects of public speaking that students need to work on most commonly. The very first one at the top is work on a more effective attention getter. So let's say you begin your speech with, "Hi everyone, my name is Jennifer Beaslin, and today I'm going to talk to you about." So that is not an effective way to begin your speech. A more effective way to begin your speech would to begin with a quote, or to begin with a direct question or a rhetorical question, or to begin with a story, a startling fact or statistic. So those would be more effective ways to gain your audience's attention. So if you just began with your specific purpose, then I would check that box off. So make sure that you look through the list of suggestions. If I go on down the list, it says need to improve organization of main ideas. So that means that your speech needs to be more structured. If you go on down the list, you'll see need to improve your posture. So that means you need to work on standing in a more erect manner, or perhaps not slouching. So it will be specific to you as a speaker. So make sure that you look through that suggestion list. And then moving over to the evaluation portion of this list, you will see on the left-hand side, that's exactly how you will be graded. So for the introduction, did the speaker grab the attention of the audience? So did you actually use an attention getter? Number 2, did the speaker establish relevancy? That is, why should my audience care? Why should they listen to me talk about this subject for X amount of minutes? So your goal is to establish a reason for your audience to want to listen to your speech. The third part is state a clear thesis, and it's very important that your thesis is different than your preview. The thesis is the bottom line of your speech stated in one sentence, and the preview is the blueprint for your speech. The preview is the very last part of your introduction, and it will sound something like this. Today I'm going to talk to you about 1, 2, 3. First, let's start with 1, and then that would be your transition. So if you look at the next section under presentation, was your speech free from verbal surrogates, also known as disfluencies? Those are the ums, likes, ands, but basically you know what I'm saying. You want to do your best to minimize those verbal surrogates and to get comfortable with just pausing and then moving on. Next is, was your speech presented extemporaneously? That means, was your speech presented in a conversational manner? The goal for this type of speaking is to speak in a way that is natural. It shouldn't be memorized. It's not a manuscript where you're reading your speech to the audience. Your goal is to write for the ear, to practice that, and then when you're speaking to sound very natural. The third part was your speech presented enthusiastically. So part of that will be variation of your pitch, your vocal pitch, your eye contact, your use of gestures, all of that to really demonstrate that you are into your subject, you're into your topic, and then the more you're into it, the more your audience will be into it. The next part is, did the speaker maintain good eye contact? So your goal is for your eye contact not to be with the video camera, but your eye contact needs to be with your audience. It needs to be direct, frequent, and encompassing of your entire audience. So that's really important. Don't look above their heads, don't look down at the ground, but make direct eye contact with your audience. The next part is, was your speech well organized and balanced? So what that means is your introduction needs to be fully developed, your conclusion needs to be fully developed, and then the main ideas need to be clearly and concretely stated. And then finally, transitions, were they clearly and smoothly stated? So it could be something as simple as, first I'm going to talk about X, talk about it. Then I'm going to talk about Y, talk about it. Then I'm going to talk about Z, talk about it. Or you could be more creative. You could use quotes as your transitions between main ideas. It's completely up to you as to how creative you want to be with your transitions or not. But the most important thing is that you include transitions between the introduction and the body and the conclusion, and between your main ideas. For the conclusion of your speech, did the speaker signal the ending? That is like your transition into the conclusion. You're going to restate your thesis and your main ideas. Again, those two need to be separate and distinct from each other. And then finally, did the speaker end with a memorable final statement? So you want to avoid ending with "that's it" or "I'm done, I've got nothing." You want to make sure that you end your speech with something that is memorable. It could be a challenge to your audience. It could be a rhetorical question. It could be a quote. If you began with a story, maybe you didn't finish the story. Maybe you finished the story in your conclusion. So you want it to be memorable. And then finally, you're graded overall. Did you seem committed to the topic? Was the speech easy to follow? Were the main ideas, were the main points concretely stated? And were your main ideas supported by examples and or narrative stories, facts? The bottom line for your support is that your main ideas need to be fully developed. And then finally, did the conclusion help you remember the speech? Bottom line with that is, was your conclusion fully developed and was it memorable? So I am here if you have any questions, but I hope this helps you to better understand exactly how you'll be evaluated for your next speech.